All right, it has officially been long enough, and I have done enough of the game's content to officially give my review of the Dragonflight expansion for World of Warcraft. What's up, guys? If you're new around here, my name is Steven with Level Up MMO, and this video is going to be telling you what I think about the Dragonflight expansion, where I think it stands in the list of expansions, and where I think it can go. With all that being said, if you like MMO content, if you like World of Warcraft content, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you end up enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up, and let me know down in the comments below. Without further ado, let's talk about Dragonflight. So first things first, I came into it with an open mind, but definitely some cautious optimism because, well, Shadowlands wasn't super great. People didn't like it very much. BFA was something that was really hit or miss for a lot of people, and really people haven't fully enjoyed an expansion since Legion. Now I'm talking about the masses, the majority, the vocal majority at that, or vocal minority even potentially. But I think the overall sense, and even that with content creators, is that there hasn't been World of Warcraft on the right path for a while now. And I will say up front, Dragonflight has fixed that, I think, for a lot of people and for me. I think it has been really fun. I've been hooked. I've enjoyed all the different things. It really feels like I'm out here exploring the world. There's tons of stuff to do, but you're not forced into anything. You have all the world quests. You have all the different rep things you can do. And of course, they made it so it's more alt-friendly, right? If you get up to level 10 with somebody, well, it makes it easier to build that renown on a different character. If you get up to 20, it makes it easier and easier for up to 10, and then a bit easier for 10 to 20, right? They give you these great catch-up mechanics for alts and things like that. There's a lot of ways to gear up that don't involve having to do raids right off the bat or run high-level Mythic. You have the world quests, you have the weeklies with different chests and bosses. There's a lot of things you can do, and it opens up a lot of doors for different play styles, different time frames. Maybe you can't play all the time. Maybe you have a wife and a kid, or a husband and a dog, like who knows? But no matter what, you are able to get in and do the things you need to do and enjoy it. And now we'll move on to something that most people bring up when they talk about this expansion and one of the greatest features, and that is the flying. The dragon riding has been a lot of fun. I think it's great to start an expansion, be able to fly right away, essentially. So you can go in and you can just end up getting your first dragon for dragon riding, and it makes it so much easier to get around. It's fun, it's more interactive, so when you're flying from one side of the map to the other, you have to hit the right buttons and keep yourself afloat, make the most of it. And some people, maybe they don't enjoy that as much because they want to AFK during that time. Fine, take a flight path, no biggie. But for those of us who want to feel a little bit more engaged, it's great, it's fun, I enjoy it. I think it's a great addition, and I hope that it will expand past this. I think that is a good direction for them to go. Now we'll talk about Mythic Plus. I've had a blast doing it. I really enjoy grinding it. I've always enjoyed that because it is a pretty steady set of progression, and I'm all about progression. So the ability to jump in and keep pushing keys and things like that. The dungeons, some of them are really hard and some of them are the easier ones, and that's normally how it goes, and I like that because then when you pull like a Shadow Moon Burial Grounds 13 out, you're like, oh yes, I can do that. Then you pull a Ruby Life Pools 13 out, and you're like, oh well, maybe not, right? There's differences, and the dungeons are pretty fun. The new ones are fun, so I'm enjoying it overall. I think Mythic Plus has been cool. The fine-tuning they've done to adjust certain things is really cool, and now we will talk about raids. So I waited until I had done all 8 bosses on normal, and I've even done a couple of them on heroic before I came in here and I did this. So I think that, and rightfully so, the first like 2 to 3 bosses and boss fights, if you're in like an actual group setting, not like LFR, because those are chaos and they're so easy that everything can be done wrong and you'll still win. But in an actual group setting, for instance, I ran with my guild, Taros is really easy, Aranog is just so easy. And I understand these are the first bosses, so maybe they should be, but it's kind of like you show up, you get them done, you build that momentum. I'm okay with that. And then you start to get into the more difficult ones. Kurog, the mechanics, making sure everybody's on the same page, especially once you move into heroic, which I gave a shot, and Sonarth, which is just like an aggravating fight, but they feel rewarding. The mechanics are cool. The steps to go through everything is fun. And Razagath is a true challenge. When you get to the 8th of 8 bosses, it is truly a challenge with all the different mechanics, the multiple phases, and that is really enjoyable. So I'm gonna say it, I think this is a great set of raid bosses, this first section before, you know, the next content update, we get another one. I have really enjoyed it. It's been a blast to go through with the guild, and I hope that everybody else is enjoying it as well. Moving on into the new crafting system, that's been a little different because initially I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't understand. This is different. But once you get to know it a little bit, it's pretty intuitive, you know, like it definitely works. I enjoy it. It's easy to get things made if you want them. You have to find the right person, though. It's easier. So here's the one thing I will say is it leans itself towards finding somebody outside of the system. right? Because oftentimes you want something created, you want to create it in the best way, and you might have bought the things, or you might have the tools to make it the best. And then you throw it up public order, and some person with no skill and no extra mats for finishing or anything picks it up and they put it out, and you end up with a tier 1 piece instead of a tier 3 piece for what you want. So it's really, I've only used it for personal orders, basically. I haven't done anything public except for like some enchanting tools, because I was like, what the heck, no biggie. I did that and they turned out all right. But if I'm crafting any gear that I want and I'm using a primal infusion or anything like that, I'm not doing that public, which means you have to post, you have to find the right person, which means you're not really utilizing that system all that much. But overall, it's cool. A lot of people don't care as much. They just want to craft their thing and go, so it works for them. And overall, I think with a little fine tuning, it's a pretty welcomed addition to the game. Another thing to touch on, and I think it's really important, is the story. It's actually felt pretty immersive. I felt like I cared about what was happening. I wanted to know what was happening, and the zones are really cool. I think that they did a good job with the contrasting of the different zones to add different biomes to where you were at. You have some great contrast where you have like the plains, and then you end up going over to Waking Shores, and it's more of the rocks and the lava and the mountains, and then you go down to Zerspan and it's more icy, but they blend a little bit as well, and I think it's really cool. I think the zones are dope. I think that the groups that you interact with are pretty cool as well, and there's just some unique characters out there in the world that are fun to see and interact with. So I'll go ahead and say overall, I think it's a massive success. I think that the game is heading in the right direction. I don't know if we're fully there yet. There's still things to improve, but I'm kind of blinded by all the things they did right that I'm not really focusing too much on the negative. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, so find the things that you enjoy the most, and if there's enough of them, you should be fine. You don't have to enjoy every nook and cranny of the game to make it fun and enjoyable for you. And I wish more people would understand that. Find the things that really like. I enjoy Mythic Plus. I enjoy the raiding. I'm going to hone in on that. Maybe crafting could be a little bit better. It's not really my forte. I will point out, I think enchanting is a little lackluster, but that's just me. I also think it's a crazy hard grind, but again, that's just me. And of course, as things continue, as more items get pushed into the market, a lot of these things will drop in price, they'll become easier, and all that sort of jazz. But overall, I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's the most fun I've had since like Legion or Warlords of Draenor. BFA was actually okay to me. I wasn't a super big BFA hater, but I didn't really enjoy the systems with like the Azerite and all that sort of stuff. It just made it more complicated, convoluted, and it just wasn't really for me trying to figure out every single thing. But that wraps up my simple review of the Dragonflight expansion. Now it's time for you to tell me what you think. So head on down to the comments below and leave your thoughts for the Dragonflight expansion, or whether or not I have convinced you to play it or not to play it. I would love to hear all about it. And of course, if you want to support me in the best way and most direct way, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and you can also become a member down below. If you want to come chat with me live on Twitch, I would love that as well. Twitch.tv/heartbreaker_TV. And hey, if you want to throw a Prime sub my way, I accept those as well. Until next time, good luck in your adventures.